Hey guys, and welcome. Today I'm talking about family and the importance of family and the connection within family and why families break oftentimes and how we can heal them. Um, to start off, I think it's important to first acknowledge and recognize that in our world today, and from my observations, just watching society, observing other people's lives and just in general living in the world, you see so many different ways to do things. And family is a unit. Family is something that we all come from somewhere. We all have roots. We all have ancestors, our tribe, our people, but how we live within those families and within those communities, I think, is something that we're really going to need to look at in the coming years, uh, especially already now, because there's such an emphasis right now and such a sort of highlighted theme about family, the need for family to be a strong unit again. I feel like there's so much division within families. I see it all the time working with clients. It's a big problem. Like, it's a huge problem. There's major division within families. Um, there's so many disagreements. There's so much heartache and disappointment and different things that we can experience within family. I think it's very important for us to start looking at how we can heal family, our own family unit, or at the bare minimum, I think make peace with some of our own traumas and hurts and different things from our upbringing. Um, what I have observed is that typically in families, the way pain transfers is there's almost this karmic component to it. So something that a parent experiences, the children simultaneously also experience, whether they are directly physically experiencing that thing or not, or emotionally. That's kind of irrelevant because children are connected to their parents energetically for up until the age of 7, very, very directly. The mother and the child actually shares one aura or one bubble, with a big connection to it. As the child grows and starts to get bigger, that bubble starts to separate from the mother, and then the child will start to generate their own energy field. The child already has their own energy field. It's just very small, very immature is the way that I observe it. So it's important to know that, like, how a mother feels even from the time that she conceives and how she experiences her pregnancy will 100% influence her baby's outcome, her baby's life's outcome, because it will have a direct impact. There will be subconscious seeds already being planted into that child before the child even comes into this world. So family and how families break and where that break starts is usually oftentimes in utero, when there is some kind of a trauma that the mother experiences. Obviously, the baby also experiences that stress and that trauma. So, moving out from there, as a baby develops and starts to grow up in their little world, which is, sorry, I was something in my face. As that child starts to develop within a family unit, within a home, what that child experiences becomes their reality, it becomes their normal. Um, and this is where the part about um, nurturing our children and being much more affectionate is very, very important. I just noticed that we're just not quite very touchy feely anymore, like we really, and I understand, through society and through different things happening in history, we've had a lot of experiences where touching literally became less and less appropriate, because even any kind of touching, like teachers aren't allowed to touch kids in class. Like, they're not even supposed to, from my understanding, physically put a hand on a shoulder. Like, nothing is allowed in that context anymore. And that's not, I don't think this is right. I don't think it's appropriate. I know that there are a lot of weirdos and sick, weird people out there, but at the same time, within families, I think it's very important that we start to establish a new way of being and teaching our children that, hug and a kiss is normal and that it's necessary. Children need touch so badly, so badly. When a baby is first born, when you think about it, what happens to that baby? Well, as soon as it comes out of its mother, it's usually placed on the mother's chest, if it can be, if the baby is well and healthy. The baby's placed on the mother's chest, and the reason why they do that is that skin on skin is like an instant bond and a connection with that child. It's an instant feeling of safety and security. So it's so important for children to receive hugs on a daily basis, and not just pat like a genuine hug where mommy or daddy, wraps arms around, and you look them square in the face and you tell them that they're just so amazing and that they're so special and that you love them so much. I think this is so important, because that deprivation, a child not receiving that and consistently receiving that when they're very young, especially up until the age of 7, but way past that. I mean, really, we need to think like well into, I'm going to say about 25, like up until the age of 25, we're maturely, mentally, spiritually maturing. And I mean, of course, way past 25 as well, but in those first 25 years, like the first quarter of your life, I think it is so important that it is established within you, that you have like a strong foundation and a strong sense of like nurturing and safety, and that's established by parents. That sense of safety and security within a child is established by the parents, and how much those parents um, physically interacted with the child. It's a lot of times I find in our modern world we can get very lost, with all the glitz and glamour, right? With all the beautiful things that we have available now, and there are so many gadgets and toys and just options for us to buy our kids for entertainment. But in buying them all of these things and in giving them all these material possessions, are we forgetting to do the most important thing that they need the most? Are we forgetting to spend more quality time with them and really take time out of your day to, I would say every parent should try and squeeze at least an hour out of their day, like at least an hour out of their day, especially if you have small children, to really sit and play with your child, engage, do what they want to do, ask them what they want to play and play that game and be silly and crawl on your hands and knees and and let them ride your back and just do different things. Like I think this is so important. The importance of play and bonding and connecting all happens when we are interacting with each other, when we are actually physically touching each other. Um, Without that, there's just, a child starts to feel so isolated and so alone. And I know many parents try their best, and they try to be as affectionate, but uh, in working with clients, I've noticed that the parents that are not able to be affectionate are the people that become parents who are also not really able to be affectionate to their children in the future. And the reason why that happens is because it's like a domino effect. If you've never been shown love, like what it feels like to receive love, like where it's unconditional, where you're not judged by your parents based on what you accomplish or don't accomplish, where you're just simply accepted and loved as you are, whole, then if you don't experience that as a child, you really, like, your foundation is rocked at that point. It's really broken and cracked. It's unstable. And then now you're going to go out into the world, you become a 20, 25, whatever year old person, you go out into the world and you're not going to be able to get through, and you're going to have a difficult time making connections with people, because in my opinion, love has to be taught. Love is something that we teach our children, not only through our actions out in the world, in terms of them observing our actions with the world, but also taught in a one-on-one kind of way, where you really take the time and you sit with your child every day and spend that time where it truly is about them for that hour, and you're not on your phone and scrolling, and you're not distracted in any way whatsoever. You're just focusing on your child. I think it's very important, and I think we need to bring that back. I think it should be okay for a teacher to you know pat a child on the back and say, it's okay, it's going to be okay, or um, things like that. And I know we can't control other people, but I always look for the best in everyone, and I sincerely hope to find, you know, the best in others. I look for that. I try to look for the good in people, not the bad, um, because I feel if I look for the good, then I will attract the good, and those kind of experiences into my life. So, but certain things I think need to be brought back. We need to be touchy feely again. We need to be um, much, much more emotional. And we have to understand that touch is such an essential part of human life. You know, a baby, there's just so many studies of how a baby responds when they're, and how they delay in their development when they're not being touched, and when they're not being given attention versus a baby who is given attention and is given love and affection. So it's a big, big difference. um, and I think we can heal families, broken families, by reestablishing love, by practicing it, putting it into the daily practice of experience, of just showing each other, what. Perfect example. Go up to, today's Father's Day. So go up to your dad, give him a big hug. Don't say anything, not even for Father's Day. Just, you got to do these things random. Like, it's the same thing with any family member. I think it's important that we express, we show each other that we love each other, not simply by, well, I went to the mall and I bought you something. Well, that's great. That's very nice, but a lot of times it's not what we need. And at the end of the day, like, sure, gifts are very nice. They're lovely. I'm not disregarding gifts. But what I'm saying is the gift of love is priceless, and it doesn't cost you anything to just say, why don't we hang out for the day instead of buying something? Let's just go for a nice hike or do something together. I think we need to bring back engaging with one another in a peaceful, loving kind of way, especially within family, because there's so much healing around family that needs to happen. If we don't understand our roots, if we don't know where we came from, it's very, very difficult to know where you're heading. Um, Life will just take you all over the place. So if you're willing to look at your past, if you're willing to ask your parents some questions, or family members, whoever you can, and say, what was your upbringing like? Was grandma and grandpa, loving? And do you feel like you got enough hugs and kisses? And, that kind of thing. Ask your parents that and see, because you're going to get insight into how they grew up. And it's going to help you to understand perhaps why you received certain treatment that was maybe very similar to what your parents received, because that's what they learned, and it's what they knew, so that's what they passed on. When we look at and dig a little bit, and when you start to look at your parents and see that perhaps because of their past they were a certain way when you were growing up, and then what you can do is, now you can look at your own life and say, okay, well, if I know that's where I'm coming from, and if I know that's what my family in the past has experienced, then I know that I also have a choice and an option to make better choices and to do things differently. And perhaps it's hard for me, and perhaps it's even awkward, and it doesn't feel normal or comfortable or natural, for me to be hugging my children as much, because perhaps it's something that I didn't receive growing up. However, I'm still going to make an effort, and I'm going to learn what that feels like. And I'm going to allow that experience to come into me. And just by sharing, just by showing up, and by trying something that is outside of your comfort zone, something you haven't done before. So I really encourage everyone to try to be more affectionate with your children and try to focus on the love within each of us, not the flaws and not what they've done wrong, but what they've done well. I think if we continue to search for the light within each of us and within each other, then we're going to find it. We're going to find it because it's what you're looking for. Most people, unfortunately, oftentimes look for the bad in others and expect the bad, from others, and that's sad. It's sad. It's like, why did we end up here, and what can we do now to correct it and go on to a new path and start living in a completely authentic and new kind of way, one where there's much more love and affection and appreciation for one another, one in a society where we're all just more compassionate and understanding. I don't know, I think love can really change the world. And I think if we learn, because we must learn how to love one another, how to love ourselves first and foremost, has to be learned, right? So if we can learn to love ourselves and give ourselves permission to bust out of our comfort zones when it comes to, how we are with affection and how we give affection, if we're able to allow ourselves to just try something new and different, you might be very pleasantly surprised. So that's my little message about love and about family and about connecting family again. I just kind of pour out my thoughts as they come and share whatever it is that I feel guided in any given moment to share. And this was today. I think it was quite fitting for Father's Day, but there was just such an energy of family today in the air, and I felt like it was so important to talk about love and sharing love and why it's so important for us to be a lot more intimate. Again, just a lot more hugs, a lot more kisses for our children so that they really truly feel safe and secure and nurtured. Let's nurture one another, ourselves, and our children once again, instead of always choosing to try to give in a materialistic way. Again, giving gifts is fun and it's beautiful and it's wonderful. But there are so many gifts beyond material gifts that we can give each other. So that doesn't cost anything. Love never ever costs anything. So that's my message for today. I wish everyone a very, very beautiful, happy Father's Day. I hope all of you guys are enjoying the wonderful weather, and blessings to you all. Take care. Bye-bye.